Hi everyone, and welcome to the 10th installment of a Study in Fear production diary. Nothing to report as far as the play is concerned. It is the read-through tomorrow night, so fingers crossed that goes well. As promised, this video is purely a ghost story. So sit back, turn off the lights, and enjoy my Nan's ghost story. During the war, my Nan was an ARP warden. It was her job to patrol the streets, checking that no one had their lights on. If they did, she would shout up to them and tell them very clear and plainly to switch off their lights. She wasn't a woman that you would muck around with. One evening after her ARP warden patrol, she went home. Obviously, during the blackout, she wasn't allowed to light any lights, so she let herself into her house. Her route to the bedroom was well trodden. She knew it well, even in the darkness, and she made her way up the stairs. Soon as she got up the stairs, she went into her bedroom and got into bed. It had been a long day. She laid down her head and went straight off to sleep. She was awoken a few hours later by a noise. At first, it was a fairly innocuous noise, a creak. As her ears tuned into the noise, she could hear footsteps slowly making their way up the stairs. Her usual demeanor of being brave and strong had disappeared. She was alone. As she heard the footsteps coming closer to her door, she pulled the duvet over her head. She heard the door slowly open. She peered into the darkness but could see nothing. She sat there, staring at the door frame. But what she says seems like hours. At this time, she lived on her own in a big house. Eventually, she started to relax. She laid down her head and fell back to sleep. She never really said how long she was asleep for. Half an hour? An hour? But when she awoke again, she sat bolt upright in bed and sat there staring at a man stood at the foot of her bed. She said the strange thing about this was that she wasn't scared. She felt calm, safe, almost serene. As she looked into the face of the man, she became aware that he didn't have any features. She wasn't able to determine who he was. Of course, it was dark. And as she did this, he said these words: "Do not be afraid." And she wasn't. She laid down and went back off to sleep. The next morning she awoke. It was a beautiful sunny day. She didn't spare a thought for what had happened the previous night, put on her clothes and made her way to the ARP station. When she arrived there, a very strange thing happened. As she walked through the door, all of her colleagues suddenly jumped up and ran to her. Gladys, Gladys, are you okay? Are you okay?" Obviously puzzled by this, my Nan asked, "Why?" So it transpired that at the same time that she supposedly saw this figure at the foot of her bed, a plane had been shot down and had skimmed the roof of her house by about 6 foot, crashing in the field behind. She slept through this. Imagine the noise that that plane must have made. My Nan isn't someone who necessarily believes in ghosts. She never said that it was the spirit of the pilot of the plane or anything like that. But one thing she kept going back to was how calm she felt that night. In a circumstance where she should have felt panicked. A man at the foot of her bed. But she felt calm. And it's for this reason and this reason alone that she believed on that night she met her guardian angel.